jibber jab, bamboozle, nooka noozle, bippity bop, she called. You jibber jab, bamboozle, nooka noozle, bippity bop, she called. I mean, you keep on talking, but you don't know where to turn.
Good evening. Welcome to the weekend. I'm John Caldera, president of the Independence Institute. You're watching Independent Thinking. So what's it going to take to get you into this car today? It's always a sweet sale, isn't it? From the Colorado Auto Dealers Association, a good friend of mine, Tim Jackson. Good to see you again.
Good to be here,
Good
John.
times, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, there will always be better times. Yes.
Happy days. And from the Phil Long dealerships, and you've just bought your own new dealership, and what great timing.
Yes.
Jim Fynes, I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for letting me be here.
Now, how long have you been in the auto business?
34 years.
34 years. But before that, you were a mechanic as a kid, right?
Well, back in the good old days, 11 years old, when you started having service stations. Remember the old bell you go across and ring and whatever else. I started there, and Mel Record, my second dad, and got in service business from 11 to 19. And
check the oil and rotate the tires. And
everything there was on a car that we had to do, we did.
That's a good old-fashioned service station where you got your oil change, you got your tires rotated, some minor service, and buy gas.
Wash the windshield, check the oil, do all that stuff.
Around anywhere?
No.
Not many.
So.
No.
So, you know, Wally's filling station or wherever Goober worked on Andy Griffith, that just doesn't exist any longer.
Exactly.
All right, what did you do after that?
From there I went to college, then I went on to Ford Motor Company. Spent 10 years with Ford Motor Company with a manufacturer doing parts and service and that representative and Western area manager for them. And then at that time I had to make the big decision to go to Detroit and decided to go in the retail business and join Phil Long.
So you've been with Phil Long dealerships for a long time. There have been a lot of Phil Long dealerships. Who was Phil Long, by the way?
Phil Long was a great gentleman. He was a World War II pilot and one of the great patriots of this state. But 1945 started a dealership in Colorado Springs and started Phil Long Ford down there, and then kind of grew into the 17 dealerships that we have today throughout Colorado. All right. But he was just a great guy.
So your job, you sell cars.
Sell cars.
Your job, you represent a bunch of guys who sell cars. Now the Auto Dealers Association, these are mostly new cars. Your members are groups that sell new and used cars, not just used cars, right?
Absolutely. We're the trade association, the statewide trade association for all 260 new car dealers in the state of Colorado. And those new car dealers, of course, do sell used cars as well, parts, service, and body shops, and everything related to that. So we're their advocate, their mouthpiece, and their voice, their vote, and their proxy.
I think for people who don't follow trade associations, trade associations have a huge impact in Colorado politics because they go down and give money to PACs, you go down and lobby, and one guy's PAC and another guy's trade association fights. But yeah, I think of all the trade associations, the one job I would never want to have would be yours. Because, I mean, if the veterinarians trade association, all right, they're all veterinarians, but I don't know if you notice this, auto dealers are some pretty weird birds. I mean, these are some crazy people. So, I mean, I've been sitting around your table before, and you got Deal and Doug over there with 15 rings, you've got guys like this over here, and they all want to put each other out of business, and you've got to find a way to make them all work together. But I don't want your job.
Yeah, absolutely. These are some of the best people on the planet, in my view. They're really great people. They're entrepreneurs, they're capitalists, they're investors.
Does Deal and Doug wear the Superman outfit to the meetings?
Not at every meeting, no.
Not at every meeting.
Not at every meeting, but he's as genuine as...
He's a good guy.
He is
actually a terrific guy.
Solid as a rock. And, these dealers represent really what America is all about. They're small business owners, they're risk takers, they're capitalists and they're investors, and they are the true entrepreneur. And what's happening now we've got auto manufacturers in bankruptcy. The manufacturers are in bankruptcy, the dealers are profitable, and who's getting put out of business? The dealers, the profitable dealers. So it makes you wonder, are we still in America?
All right, just so I get a good sense here, we think car manufacturers, I'm thinking Detroit, and I'm going to try to be more specific. There's Detroit, and then there's a whole bunch of other car manufacturers.
Correct.
I'm not a fan of Detroit. Detroit's labor laws, Detroit's bloated bureaucracies, and throwing money at Detroit. When you look at Toyota down in Tennessee pumping out, I think, better products at much less cost, it's the market at work. That being said, you guys, you just sell the stuff. You're not Chrysler, you're not GM. So when we drive around, we see John Elway or any John Medved or any of these other good guys, and we see their name on. They're not an outlet store for GM or Nissan or Chrysler or Toyota. You guys are completely independent.
We're independent.
Do I understand that right?
We're their customer. They have no expense with us at all. We're just an asset. All we do for them is we buy their products. I buy all their cars, I buy all their parts, I buy all their training, I buy all their publications, I pay for all the advertising. There is no expense the manufacturer has by having me around. I'm their customer. Now, in order for them to...
When you buy their car, do you buy their car on spec? In other words, if you don't sell it, can you send it back? Like
No.
if you're a bookstore and you don't sell the book, you can usually send it back to the manufacturer. You buy a car. This is where we have these 1983 models have got to make room for the 1984 models. Come on down.
They've got to go.
They've got to go.
I pay for that car the minute it comes off the line. I pay for it before it hits my lot. I start paying floor plan for it. I start paying interest on it. That car is mine. I have no option to give it back after that time. So again, there's no expense, there's no holding cost or anything else. I have to order that car, take that car. From the time it comes off that assembly line, I'm paying for it about 6 to 7 days before it even hits my lot. There's not one dime that I cost them.
All right. Where I'm leading with this is, now that GM is being nationalized and Chrysler is going into bankruptcy, you've lost your dealership.
Right.
Do I understand this right? I want to get there, and then I want to go back and try to figure out how this happened. So you, earlier this year, bought a GM dealership, Phil Long.
Not GM, Chrysler. Jeep Chrysler, right.
So you were Phil Long, Jeep Chrysler.
Correct.
It was yours.
Right.
Nobody else's, it was yours. Jim Fynes owns it.
I own it. I'm a partner with one other gentleman, Jay Cimino, so we're partners in it, but it was my buyout, which is going to be my store.
All right. I don't know how to put this politely, but man, your timing really sucked.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Yeah. But you look at it, for over 100 years in this industry, being around it for a long, long time, you've never seen this ever take place. You never would see a manufacturer going into bankruptcy, but then again, you would think if they went into bankruptcy, they would restructure, because I'm at their cost. It's their manufacturing, it's their expenses, it's all those things that bankruptcy is supposed to restructure. That's what they have to take care of. They got to improve their product.
But looking, for instance, at Chrysler and GM in Detroit, their cost per hour, when you include the pension costs, are something like $75 an hour. Go to Tennessee, where that's a right-to-work state, it's about $40 an hour, and therefore, you can buy a lot more car with the same amount of money. When you must have known that as well, but you were speculating that GM or Chrysler, in your case, instead of going out of business completely, would have been gobbled up and turned into something else. Do I understand that?
Potentially, because you have a brand like Jeep. Jeep is not going to die, because Jeep was on its own. American Motors had it. American Motors sold it to Chrysler. Chrysler now, at one time, they'll get to a point somebody might, pick it up. You saw GM wanting to buy Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge at one time too, because they were in there. They recognized the value of those brands. So you look at that brand with what somebody can do with it. Yeah, you want to have it because you think somebody is going to go ahead and make it still live. And Jeep brand is one that was going to definitely go on. So I thought it was a very safe, secure thing that somebody would definitely pick it up. I would have a franchise no matter what, that I could still represent that product.
And probably you were gambling a bit, saying, all right, I know it's tough times, so I can buy low, and you're hoping that there would be a turnaround.
Well, I wish I could bought low, but it's one of those type of things. Still, when you try to buy a manufacturer, you try to buy a franchise, I mean, they still come at a pretty hefty dollar.
Right.
So you still have to pay for it, because at that time, still in this market, they were of good value. Now, I'd have to say the market has dropped on them dramatically just because of what's happened with GM and Chrysler.
You still have to hire employees. You have to have a service shop. You've got to have retail locations. You've got to either own the land in the building or rent it. All right, how many Chrysler dealerships got hit here in Colorado?
There were 44 total dealerships that had Chrysler branded products, either Chrysler, Jeep, and or Dodge, or some combination there. 44 total. Of those, 14, including Jim's, were terminated, so roughly a third.
When you say terminated, I mean, Jim's still here. You still have the business. It's just that Chrysler's no longer going to sell
Terminated
cars.
the franchise. He's no longer, as of June the 9th. And they gave him 26 days.
26 days.
26 days to sell all your inventory. Oh, by the way, we're not taking it back. Oh, yeah, they came out 3 days before the end of the 26 days and said, oh, well, you've done such a good job of getting rid of it, and we're getting a lot of pressure. Now we'll take some of it back. But they didn't take any product back, really. And
hang on just a second. Let me see if I understand this, because this is your world, it's not mine, so I'm trying to follow you.